President Trump is targeting supply chains of multinational enterprises to win in the trade war with China. One America's Kristian Rouz has more.
The world's two largest economies are gradually engaging in what appears to be a full-out trade war, a development long feared by some and highly anticipated by others. Last week, President Trump slapped customs duties on $50 billion worth of the China trade, with the first round of tariffs on some $34 billion of Chinese goods going into effect on July the 6th. In response, China rolled out a list of U.S. goods subject to its retaliatory tariffs, seeking to hurt farmers and car makers across America.
Make no doubt, the trade war is here. We are in a trade war, and I'm surprised that it's taken the market so long to recognize that. Don't panic, wait, be patient. Well, that also applies to capital investment.
This earliest stage of the trade war has immediately escalated into a political dimension, as Beijing's actions are explicitly aimed at weakening the Trump White House in this year's midterms and ultimately taking down the president in the 2020 election. Meantime, President Trump's trade restrictions on China are aimed at erasing America's $376 billion trade deficit with Beijing without a clear intent of a regime change in China. The sides have missed a chance to settle their differences through talks, meaning the US will now have to win this war of attrition.
We're trying to put a focus on China, who is the biggest offender. I think the president has the right goals in mind. Let's just make sure we get this done as quickly as possible and done in a way that benefits the American people. I've also heard from employers who say, you know what, I'm so fed up with the abuse from China in trade policy, I'm willing to give the president some latitude to negotiate better deals.
The U.S. Trade Representative's list of China tariffs includes over 1,100 Chinese products, focusing on derailing Beijing's plan to develop 5G wireless networks, artificial intelligence, and other dual-purpose capabilities. The US is also restricting the imports of industrial and consumer goods from China. This might deal a heavy blow to China, which is reliant on exports revenues to support its slowing economy.
China is likely to be on the losing side, but you have to look also at the politics involved in this. Trump wants to deliver before November midterms, whereas China, one-party state, they can play the long game on politics.
China might give in to US demands, ending its malicious trade practices, such as dumping and currency manipulations, along with the theft and forced acquisition of intellectual property. Beijing has achieved little progress so far on its path to decrease the exposure of its economy to foreign trade by encouraging domestic consumption. In the best scenario for President Trump, China will succumb to technology restrictions and will unconditionally open its domestic markets to US goods and services.
U.S. GDP can survive a trade war with China, might knock 0.5% of GDP out, but the economy right now is firing on all cylinders. China feels like it's at the strongest point that it's been in hundreds of years. It feels like it's ascendant, and so it's not likely to back down.
The conflict is not expected to settle anytime soon, as Beijing doesn't want to appear weak. This despite China's total debt to GDP hit 257% last year, while the communist nation's shadow banking industry has ballooned to a stunning $15 trillion. Meantime, the trade war also poses challenges to the US in the form of higher inflation and consumer prices, as well as possible declines in oil and commodity prices. Additionally, experts say the trade war will have limited impact to GDP growth in both countries, but the main question is whose consumer and business confidence will start to crumble first.
Our tariffs, U.S. tariffs, hit supply chains, multinational supply chains. The U.S. tariffs are 25%. That's a very high tax, and it will lead to readjustment in the supply chain.
In this light, the Trump administration is expected to seek bilateral trade deals in various parts of the world to open new markets for the American exporters, while a possible second round of tax cuts could further improve the consumer demand at home. Kristian, Rouz, One American News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.